They quietly replayed every moment you started pulling away, even if they pretended not to notice, even if they acted distant or unfazed or completely disconnected from what was happening. Because the truth is that avoidant people feel everything. They just process it alone, silently, internally, in ways no one else ever sees. When you think they are indifferent, when you think they don't care, when you think they walked away without a second thought, that is never the full reality. They start replaying the first moments you became slightly less available, the slightly slower replies, the shorter messages, the shift in tone, the decrease in emotional warmth, the pauses, the moments you didn't reach out first, the moments you didn't reassure them, the moments you didn't prioritize them the way you used to. They notice all of it, even the things you don't realize you're doing. But instead of addressing it, instead of asking what changed, instead of leaning closer to reconnect, they retreat into their inner world, where everything feels safer when there is distance. And in that private world, they analyze everything. They replay the conversations, the moments you seemed distracted, the last time you laughed with them, the way your energy shifted. They replay your voice, your messages, your tone, your hesitation. They replay the moment they first sensed you slipping away, and they examine it like it's evidence of a crime. Because for avoidant people, losing someone isn't about the present. It's about reopening every wound they've avoided in their past. When you pull away, it confirms their oldest story. People always leave. People always stop loving me. People always change. They've carried that belief their entire life, and they expect it. But they still feel the pain every time it happens. The tragedy is that they expect abandonment so deeply that they participate in it. They believe withdrawal protects them from getting hurt. So when they feel you distancing, they distance harder. They shut down faster. They pre-leave before you can actually leave. But don't mistake their silence for not caring. Don't mistake their distance for not feeling. They are replaying every moment in agonizing detail. They are wondering when it shifted. They are wondering why they didn't see it coming sooner. They are wondering if they caused it. They are wondering if they weren't enough. They are wondering if you found someone better, or if you simply got tired of their emotional inconsistency. They replay your sighs, your pauses, your emotional tone. They replay the conversation where you seemed tense. They replay the day you didn't respond for hours, even if you were busy. They replay the moment your warmth faded, even if it faded for reasons unrelated to them. They replay everything. They don't ask questions because questions require vulnerability. They don't reach out because reaching out risks rejection. They don't show emotion because emotion feels unsafe. But inside, they're spiraling. They're hyper-analyzing. They're bracing for the collapse of something that mattered to them more than they ever admitted. They are afraid to say, "I feel you pulling away, and it scares me." So instead, they pull away too. That is how avoidant attachment creates its own heartbreak. They would rather watch you drift than risk asking you to stay. And yet, you stay in their mind. You linger in their memory. You occupy their thoughts even when they're trying to forget. They replay your softness, your attention, your kindness. They replay the moments you made them feel safe. They replay the times you believed in them. They replay your warmth, not to torture themselves, but because it's the only place they know how to feel close without risking anything. Avoidant people don't process pain in the present. They process it in hindsight, when it's too late, when the connection is already slipping through their fingers. And so, they replay the beginning of the end with painful clarity. They notice the shift not because they were paying attention to you, but because they were guarding themselves. They weren't watching for your love. They were watching for your escape. And when they sensed it, even slightly, they believed the story they believed since childhood. I knew this wouldn't last. I knew they'd leave. And instead of fighting for you, they accepted the story as fate. They accepted your withdrawal as the natural consequence of their unworthiness. They accepted the pain silently, because silence is how they've survived every painful thing. But here is the truth they'll never tell you. They didn't want you to pull away. They didn't want the connection to change. They didn't want the distance. They didn't want the silence. It hurt them. Deeply. More than they'll ever show. But they didn't know what to do with the pain. So they buried it. And once they buried it, they replayed it in their mind like a movie they could not stop watching. They replayed the moment you stopped chasing them. They replayed the moment you stopped reassuring them. They replayed the moment your tone shifted from soft to neutral. They replayed the moment you didn't respond with the enthusiasm you once did. They replayed the moment you no longer centered them emotionally. And instead of saying, "I'm scared I'm losing you," they told themselves, "Of course, this is what always happens." But here's the most painful part. While they were replaying your distancing, they also replayed every moment they pushed you away beforehand. Every time they minimized your needs. Every time they ignored your feelings. Every time they disappeared when you needed connection. Every time you showed vulnerability and they shut down. Every time you got quieter and they didn't ask why. Every time you started giving less because you were receiving nothing. They replay the damage they caused, and it hits them harder after the connection begins to fade. Avoidant people rarely understand what they had until your presence becomes a memory. They don't understand the value of your emotional warmth until their world goes cold without it. They don't understand your loyalty until they feel the absence of your energy. They don't understand your patience until it's gone. They don't understand your love until it becomes inaccessible. And when they realize what they lost, they replay everything they did to push you toward the door. They replay the moments they dismissed your pain. They replay the moments they left you alone in your vulnerability. They replay the times they rejected the closeness you tried to create. And this is where the guilt begins. Not guilt they'll confess, but guilt they'll carry quietly. They're not emotionless. They're emotionally overwhelmed. They're not uncaring. They're afraid to care too loudly. They're not indifferent. They're terrified of exposure. And when they feel you slipping away, they replay every moment because they're trying to understand how they lost something they weren't brave enough to hold on to. They're not just replaying your distance. They're replaying their own cowardice, their own avoidance, their own patterns, their own emotional failures. And they know they played a part in pushing you to that breaking point. They won't admit it. They won't say a word. They'll let you think they're fine. But inside, they're grieving something they never learned how to protect. And the cruelest twist? They replay those moments not so they can change. They replay them because they don't know how to stop living in the past. Avoidant people live in regret more than anyone else. They just do it silently, privately, endlessly. They will replay you long after you've stopped replaying them. They will remember your warmth long after you forget their coldness. They will think of you in moments of stillness, in the quiet hours of the night, when nothing distracts them from the truth that they pushed away the very person who made them feel something real. They replay the loss because they don't know how to heal it. And in that sense, your withdrawal didn't just hurt you. It exposed them. It forced them to face the emotional emptiness they've been avoiding their entire life. They'll never say it, but losing your presence was a wake-up call they didn't know how to answer. And in the silence that follows, they will replay your story over and over, not because they don't understand it, but because they wish they could rewrite it. Welcome back to this space. You're safe here.